Gaurav Sharma is an independent energy analyst. Gaurav, welcome back to the programme. Good to see you. Well, the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has defended this decision as the right long-term decision for the UK's energy security. Really?
Well, you know, I think I agree with the Prime Minister on this one, because some of the mass hysteria that's greeted this announcement is unmerited. Now, if you look at things on an even keel across the UK political divide, you have the usual suspects, the Greens, the Liberal Democrats criticising it. Now, the Labour Party said, well, we wouldn't have approved it, but you know what, we're not going to cancel it anyway. Look, Jamie, we're talking about 300 million barrels, 245 million of which would come on stream possibly within the next 5 years. So there is a near-term advantage. So I think I'm going to side with the Prime Minister on this one.
You can't be serious. I mean, this country keeps on trying to lecture the world about its net zero credentials and then trots this out. Well,
look, these net zero credentials that have been touted all over the place, they were unrealistic to begin with in the first place. So the Prime Minister had a moment of clarity. He pushes back the EV adoption program and the time for cancelling diesel and petrol vehicles. Now we hear this announcement that the government is finally being pragmatic. So really there are some clear dividing lines between him and his opposition. That said, these net zero targets, you know, I'm very skeptical about them. What I'm not skeptical about at all are the number of jobs this would generate, the number of international partnerships. After all, there is a Norwegian company involved with a local British partner. So I think the advantages sort of outweigh some of the political rhetoric.
The United Kingdom, of course, along with many other countries, has gone through a very difficult winter with the energy crisis, the cost of living crisis hitting many vulnerable households. But the truth is, this development is not going to make the slightest bit of difference to those hard-pressed households avoiding another bitter winter of high fuel bills. This feeds into an international market and surely will have no impact on UK energy costs.
I think directly, yes, you're absolutely right. It's unlikely it'll have a negligible direct impact. I think what we see here is that if these barrels hit the global markets and you get British revenue in return, tax revenue, tax receipt revenue, somewhere in the region of about 40% of the takings, the idea is, or rather the noble premise is, that some of it might be circled back into the pool to help those who are stricken by higher energy bills or poverty. So sort of subsidies we saw in this country last year. So that advantage is there, but the immediate near-term advantage, not necessarily.
Where does it leave the UK in terms of its position, in terms of the international platforms on achieving international net zero?
I think it probably aligns the UK with a host of other energy exporters who say, wake up and smell the coffee. We appreciate your net zero targets, but some of the rhetoric around it is quite unrealistic. So while the Brits may or may not be keen to admit it, it currently aligns the UK with a number of these Middle Eastern exporters who are saying, over the near term, near to medium term, you need oil and gas. So this is a tacit sort of acknowledgement from the British government saying, well, look, we kind of see what you're saying. We may not be talking the talk, but, you know, we understand that we are in this predicament.
Gaurav, good to see you. Thanks very much for coming on the programme again. Gaurav Sharma, the independent energy analyst.